Breaking news, we have just been informed that something called the Renaissance had broken out in Italy. As some of you may already know, or may not know, we are in the 14th century. There are many important events and key factors in the Renaissance. There were a handful of events, though, that made all of it possible and allowed the art, science, and philosophy of the Renaissance to take hold and spread. The Renaissance is known as the time period of rebirth of classical arts and sciences. It had begun with the end of the 100 Years' War and the fall of the Byzantine Empire. Different types of people, different segments of society started studying philosophy, arts, literature, and sciences of the past. While the time before the Renaissance, only professionals would do this type of study. Interest in classical literature started during the Middle Ages. During the later part of the Middle Ages, philosophers and writers were interested in Latin literature as well as in the Latin translation of Greek translation, such as Aristotle's works. But did you ever wonder why it had begun in Italy? Now we'll go over to Mr. Benjamin over here, and he will inform us.
Well, Mr. Zebak, there are a couple of reasons why it had begun in Italy. Some people may not know this, but Italy is the center of the trade.
No way!
I'm serious. As a result, there was a lot of cultural diffusion going on, and people were getting wealthier and wealthier like there's no tomorrow. Another reason is that Italy was the center of the Catholic Church, which meant that people who were Catholic loved to travel to Italy. This meant that if you were coming from far away to see the church, you brought a lot of money with you, as well as your arts.
Thank you for having you today, Mr. Benjamin. I really appreciate it. Good day. Did you hear the fight that was going on near the churches today?
No, I didn't hear. What fight?
People say this guy's name was Martin Luther. They said that he was fighting with a guy named Cecil. Cecil was overstating the matter in regard to indulgences. As a result of the printing press, there were a lot of more Bibles printed. Luther became troubled one day with the possibility of going to heaven. As a result, he turned to the Bible and confession for comfort. In the Bible, he found the answer to what he was looking for. The righteous shall live by his faith, as the Bible states. Luther criticized many things that the church was doing. As a result, he wrote up something called the 95 Thesis, which was a list of things Luther thought were wrong with the Catholic Church. The main factors that Luther focused on was the power of the Pope, the extreme wealth of the Church, and indulgences. Thank you.
So, Mr. Zebak, did you ever hear of the printing press, or something called the telescope?
Well, these are new technologies that let us, the people of Europe, advance in many things such as science, literature, language arts, philosophical studying, and much more. The printing press was invented by the one and only German dude, Johann Gutenberg. It was made purposely to make printing more efficient and much faster. Instead of having scribes sit there all day and copy a book or write a book taking them a really long time, they can just use the printing press, which made their job up to 20 times faster. Wow. And about the telescope we mentioned earlier.
Wow.
It is an instrument that aids the observation of very far away objects such as the planets. It was invented by a person named Galileo. He was an Italian mathematics teacher, astronomer, and physicist, and one of the first true scientists. He built this telescope in order to study the planets, in which this telescope he made unknown discoveries about the planets. So if you'd like to take part in the great printing or observation of planets experience, please call 1-800-ZBAC-PRODUCTS. For both products, only $299.99. Wow, plus shipping and handling. We are not responsible for any damage with the product. You can take that up with the shipping company. Thank you. Today we have with us one of the masterminds of the art in the Renaissance era. He's a sculptor, engineer, poet, painter, and architect. He built the statue, the David. He made an enormous mural on the ceiling of the Sixtine Chapel in the Vatican. Here is Michelangelo Ludovico Buonarroti. Okay, whatever. Just go. Okay.
Hey Matt, what's up?
I'm doing good. How are you, Mr. Angelo? So I would like to begin. What was your childhood like with your gift? With your gift of all these sciences and your mastermind behind all these things?
Well, to begin, my mother died when I was 6, and times were tough. My father did some work for the government, which helped us out a little bit. As a child, I went to study grammar, but I showed no interest in school and academics. At 13, I was an apprentice to the painter Domenico Ghirlandaio. Later, I studied sculpture under Bertinardo di Giovanni.
In your eyes, what was the greatest accomplishment you ever accomplished in your whole entire lifetime?
Well, in my eyes, the statue of David was my greatest accomplishment because it was a perfect symbolization for the Bible, and I really looked up to him. He was a really great guy in the Bible and in the Torah, as Jews like to call it.
So how do you feel like so respected and when you walk around in the streets and people look up to you and they say, "Oh, look at this guy, Mr. Michelangelo. I want to be like him one day."
Well, it's good you pointed that out because, I've done so much work and people admire it a lot. I don't view my work as something crazy, but I mean, people say it's so good, y'all. Your stuff is the bomb. But to me, it doesn't look that good. But I have a Facebook fan page. I'm on Twitter. I'm on MySpace. Everyone's always commenting. All the time I get people. Oh, can I get your autograph? Can you take a picture with me? I try not to refuse, but when it gets annoying, hop off, man. What can I do?
I see you're a very big time guy.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us on our CNN show today. I really appreciate it. Please come again.
No problem. Thank you.
The Renaissance began in Italy in the mid-1300s. Over the next 100 years, it spread to the rest of Europe. Rich merchants, princes, and popes took a great interest in the arts and gave financial support to artists. The Mona Lisa is Leonardo da Vinci's most famous painting. Leonardo was very interested in human anatomy, and he dissected human corpses to see how muscles and bones work. He made sketches and plans for flying machines and submarines. Who knew they would actually come to reality? The Renaissance was a rebirth in learning. It was a golden age in the arts, literature, and sciences. The Renaissance produced some of the greatest paintings in history. Renaissance artists did outstanding things such as giving art a three-dimensional effect and portraying the body in amazingly accurate detail. Today, this was just advanced. However, the Renaissance made that possible. It was the start of a new world.
Hi, I'm David Vayner. He was Leonardo da Vinci, a.k.a. the true Renaissance man, a.k.a. Big Time.
Hey David, a pleasure to be here with you today.
Pleasure to be with you too. So I think we all want to know about how you became the true Renaissance man. Tell us about your childhood.
Well, I was born to Sir Pero and Caterina, but spent little time with them. I spent most of my time with my paternal uncle, Francesco. My father lived in Florence, but was very busy, and my mother, Caterina, had married a man named Caterina. I felt that I was neglected by my parents, but I took it as a good thing for me. Because I had no footsteps to follow in, I had no expectations, as my father was a notary. This gave me the ability to be whoever I want to be. Francesco, my uncle, was a farmer, and I was out most of the time running around observing nature and sometimes sketching it.
Very interesting. And for the viewers that don't know what a patron is, would you mind explaining it? Did Michelangelo have one by any chance?
Yes, as a matter of fact, he did the famous Lorenzo de' Medici, a large supporter of the arts in Florence. But after his death, Michelangelo, for the first, left Florence, giving him new images and new landscapes to look at. A patron is a supporter of the arts, or benefactor, giving that painter support, encouragement, privilege, and financial aid for artwork.
Really? Say you swear.
I swear.
Really? I understand. So tell us a little bit about your famous paintings and how they differ from the paintings and styles you used in the medieval ages.
The paintings of the medieval ages used one-point perspective, which meant that their artwork was less realistic and vivid, where we now advance our painting style to two-point perspective, using not one but two vanishing points. This gives it the lifelike 3D view.
Yes, it's a very noticeable difference between the artwork now and then. Thank you for explaining that. We know you've made many inventions and drew up many manuscripts for inventions. In your opinion, what is the most influential invention of the Renaissance?
Well, I had many manuscripts for inventions, and some of them were successful after a numerous amount of tests. But in my opinion, the invention of the century, or even millennium, was none other than the printing press by Johann Gutenberg. Amazing, it can copy 100 times the amount of books that can be written by copyists who can only produce one book per 5 months. This made books much cheaper and spread ideas easily and quickly everywhere.
I was not expecting that as an answer, since you also had many ideas for inventions. For the people who don't know, what did you draw as a possible invention?
Well, I drew up an 8-barreled machine for storming walls, on ornithopter flying machine, giant tank, and parachute.
Well, amazing how you have a lot of visions on flight. How in any way, on top of painting the renowned Mona Lisa and Last Supper and creating invention, did you have any time to study the anatomy? Also, being the first person to dissect the female body.
I was very intrigued by the way the human body worked and its metabolism. I set out to study to embryology and the heart disease was caused by a build-up of cholesterol. Sadly, if this finding was known by more people, millions of lives could have been saved.
Wow, you really proved to our viewers how you earned the title, the true Renaissance man. So, sorry folks, but that's all the time we have. But tune in next week for an interview with NBA Rookie of the Year, Blake Griffin. Let's see how he affects society and the big impact he left on this millennium.
You must tune in for that. It's not okay if you miss.
It's not. It's really not. Not at all.